Hello, everybody. Welcome back, and welcome to 2018. You sorry shits. Hey, everybody, how's it going? Back here in 2018 to do my first Walking Dead review of 2018. This is for episode 9 of season 8. This one was titled Honor. Honor, as mentioned by Coral. In the actual episode, he is talking about honor and how he helped Siddiq honor his family as well as honoring his mom. So I think Carl became a very stand-up individual, and I will spend some time in this video discussing his evolution as a character, as well as how I feel about him and how I feel about this episode, what happened to him, episode 6. Yeah, I believe it was episode 6. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it was episode 6. But as was revealed officially in episode 8, the mid-season finale, and having in this episode they show the flashback of that scene, and you can see the moment. I have not rewatched episode 6 again, but I'm sure if I did and I paid close attention, like so many viewers did, I would have seen that scene. At least the face he makes, you can see there's a clear difference in his face from what I've heard. Okay, so that's the big takeaway from this episode is Carl's death, and I will go into more detail about that as this review goes on. But I'm going to cut to the chase and discuss the rest of the episode because, well, Carl was the focal point. There is so much that happened in this episode. Some good, some not as good, but ultimately this episode was Carl's episode, so they didn't want to bog us down with too much other extra stuff. So this episode was really focused on two things. Thing one, obviously, is Carl and his situation, those around him, Rick, Michonne, Daryl, Tara, Rosita, Siddiq, and obviously Dwight. There are others. I am just spitballing a few. Excuse me. And the other major focal point in the episode, was Ezekiel. This episode did pick up essentially everything in this episode picked up right from where the finale left off. Carl revealed his bite to Rick. This transitioned right from that into events preceding it. Is that the right word? Coming after. The events coming after it, following it. As well as with more Ezekiel being captured willingly by the Saviors at the price of getting his people to safety, which anybody who is selfless like Ezekiel is, it's more than a fair price to pay to save basically everybody in the kingdom. Whoever was not killed in the ambush at that outpost when we lost poor Shiva. Anyway, not to harp on that too much, but that was directly after episode 8. So, I'm going to bounce back and forth between the two parts of it as I see fit, and as well as I will be discussing the most important parts of the episode because I do want to spend a significant part talking about Carl. I'm going to plan on doing that in the future every time we lose a major cast member, character, etc. both, especially a core member of the group. This was Rick's son. He was one of the few remaining from season 1. Now there's only 3. Rick, Daryl, and Carol. And I do want to spend some time in future episodes discussing the impact that those characters have had on the story, as well as my feelings on the death and how that will affect the story going forward. Something new I'm trying to get more in depth in terms of character deaths and things of that nature. So, moving on. Dwight comes up with the idea because everybody wants to leave and get out of there. And Dwight suggests, because he is smart and apparently the only level-headed person in that area, that they should just pretty much just wait it out. Because at that point, the Saviors are just blowing up buildings, bombing, etc. But he points out to them that they will be looking in the woods. They know what direction the survivors went in, so they're going to assume they went in the woods. Yes, they could go in the opposite direction, but it's just too risky. Wait it out. They're not going to waste all their ammunition on Alexandria. They're eventually going to move on. It was nighttime when this was happening, so they're not going to stay there all night, just bombing everything. It's unrealistic in any situation, fake or not. So, Michonne, obviously, I get it. She is very emotional. As she stated at the end of the episode, Carl was her best friend. They both said it to each other. And this was a tough loss. They've had a very strong bond since that moment in season 3. I remember the episode, it was clear, episode 12, where she got the picture of the 3 of them, of Rick, Carl, and Lori, that was at the restaurant. She helped Carl to get that picture. From that point on, I think that was the moment that Carl started to trust Michonne, and that the group really started to embrace her and started to trust her. So since that point, they've been really strong. He's the only one who she's told about her kid. So they've shared a lot. They've had a big bond. So I will forgive her for this because she is obviously going to be emotional, but she's basically attacking Dwight physically and verbally, saying, call them off. Now, yes, she does not know I don't think she knows the extent that Dwight killed his own people and one of them got away. I don't know her name. It wasn't Regina. Everybody's saying it was Regina. It was that other one who Eugene was talking to earlier in, I think, the previous episode. I don't know her name. She's the one with the weird barcode thing. Weird. I think it looks like a barcode to me with that weird tattoo on her neck. That one. Yeah, because Regina has different hair than that one. It was definitely that one. I'm like 99% sure. I will have to double check, but no matter. She got away. So they know that Dwight is not on their side anymore. So Dwight cannot go to them. Dwight does not have any say. Dwight cannot call them off because they know at this point. At this point, they know about it. So he's not going to risk anything and to accomplish nothing. So, but I don't know if Michonne knows all the details about that. So if she does, then it's just emotional. But if she doesn't, then I will give that one to her. Okay, Gavin and Ezekiel. Ezekiel tries to get Gavin to change his path, saying, I took a path I could live with, now it's your turn. And I like Gavin. I honestly do. That result in this episode did bother me, and it's why I gave this episode a little bit of a lower score than I would have. But I do think it was a mistake. There are only 2 other saviors there are 3 saviors that I would like to see stay in the show for the simple reason there's a certain, there's a comedic value, someone like Simon. There is Gavin, who is actually a decent person. Yeah, he's going to do what it takes to survive, but he does not like killing the same way as Simon does. He doesn't he did not want Ezekiel dead. He did not want the Kingdomers. He doesn't want the Kingdomers dead. He doesn't want people to die. He wants everybody to work together with the Saviors as cooperatively as possible. But he has to enforce the rules, so he's in that spot of dealing with Ezekiel, delivering him to Negan, so that Negan can kill him. But I've always liked Gavin ever since he stood up and threatened. What the hell's his name? Jared, the long-haired guy who killed Ben. He basically told him to get packing, or he basically threatened to kill him, or punish him, or beat him, or something. I forget the exact words, but he told him to basically walk back to the sanctuary. Not a car, just to basically walk back. So, I've always liked Gavin. Anywho, moving on. Morgan and Carol basically go Rambo on the Saviors in opposite ways. Carol wants to be Solid Snake, and Morgan wants to be Rambo. Hopefully, people got that reference. Anybody who's played Metal Gear Solid or seen a Rambo movie knows what I'm talking about. Morgan just wants to kill everybody. Doesn't care, he just wants to kill all the Saviors, wipe them out. Carol wants to take the more intelligent option and sneak until sneaking doesn't work. So they're conflicting. She's not able to really stop him from just going full on beast mode on everybody. But they successfully take out all the Saviors. They get, which does cause a distraction, which does alert Gavin, especially since he tried to reach the Saviors on the walkie, and because Morgan killed them without thinking, they did not respond, which put him in alarm mode, and then he took Ezekiel into the auditorium where we first met Ezekiel, and they set a position there. Carol and Morgan detonate a bomb or grenade or something, and then at the entrance, everybody's focused on the entrance. They end up circling back around behind the stage and just mow down the Saviors. Gavin gets hit in the leg. Morgan gets into a fight with one of the Saviors and basically rips his guts out. It was literally a gut-wrenching move by Morgan. So kudos to you, sir. Alright, let's see. What else? Okay, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. Kingdomers are safe at Carol's house. Outside of the kingdom, Daryl took Judith, along with everybody else who was there. Only ones who stayed were Michonne, Rick, and Carl. Okay, this I like. This is one of my favorite moments. Carl explains his visions for the future. Now, if you remember, the season 8 premiere had these visions of the future with Rick with the cane. He had the old man Rick beard. Judith. It looked like they were setting up for the fair. Those of you who read the comics, there's a little fair type situation going on. It's like a fair festival type deal. And there's a little bit of time jump, but that's what it looked like they were playing out. But then Carl is in that vision. He's clearly seen in those scenes, and it is explained that those are not flash forwards; they are Carl's visions. So nothing in that could end up happening. That could be completely fictional, and it can just be Carl's what he wants to see. Because Carl's in the mentality that there has to be something after this war. Just like any war, that, you can't just go exterminating everybody on the opposing side. But not everybody is in that mentality. Rick is in kill 'em all mode, especially now that Carl's gone. You know, the moment I really liked was at the end when Negan appeared in the vision. I thought that was funny, and I really like what they're doing with Negan. I wish we could have full-on comic book Negan, and I really wish we could have that Carl Negan relationship anymore, like more explored more, because they barely touched the surface of that. They have a really deep connection in the comics, in the show too, but more so in the comics. But yeah, it is what it is. You know, in the vision, Negan's picked tomatoes, talking to Judith. Eugene's there, giving Judith an apple. And we have Rick is lamenting over not being able to being able to. I'm sorry, I was mixing my notes. Not being able to protect Carl. Carl said that's not your job. The parent's job is to love the child. Rick felt that it's his job to protect the child, and that he failed in his job pretty much. We did Morgan's gut-wrenching kill. Okay, Morgan hunts down Gavin almost like Mike Myers or Jason would stalk their victims. It was very much like that. The close-up of the stick dragging on the floor, and he corners Gavin and is going to execute him. Ezekiel and Carol say not to do that, don't do it. Gavin says this is not what a man would do, etc., etc. Morgan's about to kill him, and then boom, frickin' Henry comes out of nowhere and kills him. Which I know people aren't going to care about Gavin, but I saw him as an average guy just trying to protect himself and do what he needs to do in a zombie apocalypse. Sorry, Walker apocalypse. So he was a good guy. He was not like Simon or most of the saviors. He was a decent person. He liked Ezekiel. He liked Ben. He was pretty fair with the kingdom and Ezekiel, and he had a better relationship with the kingdom than, say, someone like Simon has with the Hilltop. As we know, Simon's more aggressive. So, for that reason, Henry is Carl 2.0. He is the new Carl. Stay in the house, Henry. Really, like he followed Carol. Now, what I love is that is the actress who played Sophia. That is brothers with the actor who plays Henry, so it's pretty awesome. Okay, and the last thing I'm going to say is that it's about Carl saying his goodbyes as he shoots himself off screen. Very emotional. Said I love you to both his dad and Michonne. Michonne, you're my best friend, all that. And there were no good Walker kills in this episode. I almost went with Morgan's gut-wrenching kill as my Walker kill of the week, and I just chained it up. But I'm just going to go with Carol's tripwire Walker. So, that was the only Walker kill in this episode. So, okay, real quick, Death of Carl, spoiler alert, even though it's been 2 months, almost 3 since they revealed that he was bitten. That means a lot for the show going forward for many reasons. For those of you who read the comics, I'm not going to go in depth, but Carl has a huge part in the next chapter of the comics, with the next group of villains called the Whisperers. That's all I'll say. He is heavily involved, and there are certain characters that he is involved with, that whole scenario is now up in the air with Carl being killed off. Now, I know there's the whole Carl wanted to take a year off of school, there's all that, Chandler Riggs, blah, 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 there's that whole, I'm not going to get into that. I'm just talking about the show. You can go elsewhere if you want to look into that, but that's not what I'm doing here. So there's that. That's big in terms of, that's a huge difference now that's going to have to happen. And I do want to say what they do with it. I'm not going to stop watching the show. You know, Merle was my favorite character. He was killed off in season 3. I'm still watching it. Dale was killed off. I liked Dale. I liked Herschel a lot. You know, so many characters I like died. In many and stupid ways. Tyrese. But I still watch the show. Because it's all about survival. It's about family. It's about a lot of things. And not just walkers. Okay, moving on. Carl. Back to Carl. Carl! Fortunately, we will never hear that again in the show. Except for in flashbacks or Rick talking about it. Which he will just say Carl. He will not say it like season 3 Rick did. Anyway. It means a lot for Rick going forward. Because we've seen how Rick deals with loss. He went berserk when he found out about Lori. He completely just went on a rampage. He wasn't so... When he thought Judith was dead, he was more sane about it. Yeah, he was more sane about that. He was also beaten senseless by the governor at that point, so... It also means a lot for Michonne. Michonne was equally affected as Rick was because of their close bond, so she might... I think she'll be fine. She's pretty level-headed, but I'm going to keep an eye out for how this is going to affect her. It's going to affect the group as a whole. We know children are the future. Enid's obviously going to be upset. Everybody's going to be upset. Carol's going to flip. You know, she missed what happened with Glenn and Abraham, and now she missed Carl. So, it's going to affect everybody deeply going forward. I think it's a stupid mistake, and I'm not on board with it. I still don't like it, and I don't think I ever will agree with it. But if you do believe, if it is accurate that he did wanted to take the year off of the show, then that is just a natural consequence. You can't take a year off a major show when you are one of the most important characters in it. I'm all for people going to college. He's 18. Yeah, he's 18 years old. He's been on the show since 2010. Been on the show for like 8 years. It's like his entire it's like almost his entire teenage life. So I understand he wants to go to school, get an education. I'm all for that. But to take a year off and expect to still be able to come back to the show? Nah, maybe you could take time off in between seasons, take months at a time, but not a year straight. So if that is indeed the case, and that is 100% accurate, then nothing we can do about it. But also the Negan-Carl relationship will no longer be explored because of obvious reasons. So that is a little bit disappointing. Because I love the relationship in the comics and what they've shown so far in the show. I want you to sing me a song. How Negan's is so cool. Carl killed his guys and he didn't kill Carl. The only reason he killed anybody was because Rosita tried to kill him. which was completely idiotic. But anywho, I think I'm gonna have to just about wrap this up. But R.I.P. Carl, you will definitely be missed on the show. I really loved how your character evolved from season 2 Carl, who I still stand by that he did. I still blame him more for Dale's death because, yes, why was Dale wandering around the field at night? Why? I mean, even if he wasn't, that walker could have still killed somebody. Could have still bitten somebody. So, who's to say that that would not have happened anyway? But Carl wanders off. If he does not do that, that walker has no motivation to get out of the mud. Or muck, whatever. But he really evolved, and I like how he expressed his guilt over killing the kid from Woodbury, even though he had to. I stand by that. He had to kill that kid. That kid did not listen. Carl said, "Drop the gun," not "walk close to me and give me the gun." And that kid glanced over quickly at Herschel and Beth, and in his mind, I could tell he was planning something. So Carl did the smart thing. He didn't risk Herschel or Beth's life by not doing anything. He took action to prevent something terrible happening to Herschel, Beth, or Judith. Hello. He said drop the gun. All you gotta do is drop the gun. You're good. Just drop the gun. Carl would let you leave. Bye. But no. Anyway, top 5 moments I have not done yet. Sorry. 5 is Carl saying his goodbyes. 4, Morgan and Carl saving Ezekiel. 3, Carl's visions for the future. 2, Morgan's gut-wrenching kill. And 1, Carl, you get the MVP moment for the episode. You will be missed. And I'm going to give this a 9.5. I was going to give it a 10, but the mistake of killing Gavin and the overall mistake of killing Carl weighed that down just a little bit. But still a great episode. I loved it. Great to be back, everybody, and I am so pumped for episode 10, which I am going to review for you in just a moment. It's Thursday. I'm hoping to have these videos up tonight. That is the plan. So look for them coming up today, and I'll see you guys on my predictions. Peace out, everyone. Deuces. Jerry. Damn it, Jerry. See you later.